What's good everyone and welcome back to Chefkoch, your go-to channel for exploring the meaning, history and culture behind rap music, one story at a time. Leave a like and a sub if you enjoy content like this. You can find links to my IG and community Discord in the description. And now, sit back and enjoy today's video in which we're going to deconstruct I Am Music by Playboi Carti and analyze if it has a deeper meaning that you might have missed. As you all know, after 5 years of fans patiently waiting and a very frustrating album rollout by Carti and his team, I Am Music finally released on March 14th, 2025, and the album once again sounded nothing like previous work by Carti, which longtime fans already were used to, but the switch from Whole Lotta Red's vampire, rage and punk rock aesthetic to I Am Music's more simplistic sound still was very bold, and many rap fans criticized I Am Music for being bloated with filler tracks, unpolished and for its lack of replay value. Therefore, it is fair to say that it did not meet the expectations of many listeners. And today, almost exactly 1 year after the release, we're going to analyze if these critiques are valid, if I Am Music is going to grow on people just like Whole Lotta Red once did, and if the album has a deeper meaning that the main critiques are missing. Now, to understand I Am Music's potential future impact, we need to analyze Carti's previous works and view how they changed the rap industry back then. Most of you won't even remember this, but when Die Lit first came out back in 2018, many listeners criticized Carti's baby voice, his mumbled vocals, the simple lyrics and the instrumental production by Pierre Bourne. And today, Die Lit is widely regarded as one of the best projects from the golden SoundCloud era, and it had a huge impact on the entire trap and experimental rap scene. But most notably, Whole Lotta Red also was first being hated on after its release on Christmas 2020. People really disliked the maximalist production and Carti's new vocal styles. However, when the festival season of 2021 approached, many rap fans started to realize how avant-gardist and impactful the album actually was. Whole Lotta Red was so ahead of its time and introduced the mainstream hip-hop community to rage music and punk aesthetics, the album alone managed to change the entire trajectory of the underground scene at that time. And if we compare these two incidents to I Am Music, we will recognize that music actually aims to do the exact opposite. This time, Carti wants to send the listeners back in time to the 2000s and 2010s. So comparing it with Whole Lotta Red or Die Lit is inconsequential. The soundscape on I Am Music intentionally isn't avant-gardist. It rather is historic and nostalgic, because I Am Music is a love letter to Atlanta trap, Lil Wayne's philosophy of artistry, and the lost spirit of mixtape era hip-hop. And these are going to be my 3 major arguments which we will deconstruct now. First, let's break down the trap music argument. I Am Music is a record built on the roots of trap music. Atlanta clearly is the spiritual center of the album, and therefore it pays homage to the pioneers and frontrunners of this highly influential genre. Most notably, Gucci Mane's fingerprints are all over the record, mostly visible on the cold, sparse and minimalistic production on songs like Radar, which is built around simple single instrumental melodies with heavy 808s layered on top. I mean, this track genuinely could have been on Guap's EA Sports Center mixtape back in the day. It's 100,000 for the J, still I'm about to take off. Is she trying to throw me sense? I told her love, she gotta chill up. I Am Music therefore sounds unapologetically unpolished, just like an old Gucci Mane mixtape, and this is exactly what initially made Atlanta trap popular back in the days. With the music industry's eyes only fixated on New York and Los Angeles since the 80s, southern rap scenes from Houston, Memphis or Atlanta decided to build their own regional movements and enterprises from scratch, with their distinctive and unapologetic sounds. And on I Am Music, Playboi Carti is doubling down on the strategy to pay homage to the frontrunners of the genre. That's why the song Walk samples Sydney by Atlanta rapper Bankroll Fresh, RP to him. Another factor which this time plays more into a 2010s trap homage is Carti's voice, which is pitched down and sounds raspy on many of the songs, clearly reminiscent of Future, one of Atlanta's biggest rap talents and a major source of influence for almost every artist since the mid-2010s, including Carti of course. These vocal influences are most obvious on tracks like All Red, Overly, Trim or Walk, on which Carti sounds almost indistinguishable to Future's vocals. In addition, the instrumentals from Charge These Hoes a Fee and This One Got It sound like classic mid-2010s Future x808 Mafia songs, further proving that Carti is not only paying homage to OG trap, but also to the golden days of mainstream trap as well. I mean, he literally put an unreleased dark song on the album, so if that's not paying homage, then I don't know what is. And the classic trap music spirit is further enhanced by I Am Music's beatmakers. If you take a look at the production credits, you will see that Carti really assembled the trap Avengers on here with producers like Akachi, Blessed, Cardo, DJ Moon, DY Crazy, Johnny Giuliano, Jukebong, Magnificent, Molly Raw, Metro Boomin, Southside, TM88 and Wheezy. And all of these producers helped to shape the 2010s trap scene by making beats for rappers like Bankroll Fresh, OJ the Juiceman, Future, Lil Keed, Young Thug and many more. Therefore, it's fair to say that their placements on Carti's album are not random at all. In addition, it's pretty clear that with every studio release, Playboi Carti aimed to change the sound of contemporary music as well as the current rap trends. And I have to say, despite I Am Music not being Carti's most experimental or cohesive project, it again succeeded in creating more demand for 2000s and 2010s Atlanta rap music. For example, futuristic swag is making a comeback thanks to the song like Wheezy, which sampled Bent Over by the Rich Kids. And Rich Kids and Travis Porter streams increased a lot recently. Also the track Let's Do It by Lil Baby, Playboi Carti and Schoolie. Sampled What's Up by the Rich Kids. And then again, Metro Boomin released his own futuristic swag homage tape titled A Futuristic Summer, which for sure helped to revive the genre. Next to that, classic Atlanta trap is back stronger than ever thanks to albums like Forever I Love Atlanta by TM88 and artists like 1300 Saint, Barnaby, Mexico Dro, Pluto, YK Nice and Zucchini. All thanks to the Russian Gucci Mane versions Gorilla Glue and Lil Nakur. And Carti might have played a significant role in that current trend, since his album evokes that nostalgic trap era feeling. With that being said, we now understand that I Am Music aims to pay homage to 2000s and 2010s trap music. So now let's move on to the hip hop mixtape argument. In my opinion, I Am Music clearly is designed to sound and feel like a classic hip hop mixtape of the 2000s, so calling it a studio album might actually be misleading. But why do I think that? First of all, music wants to revive the mixtape spirit, which is mostly visible through the project's composition. The hip hop mixtape culture rejected industry timelines, clean rollouts and perfection, and the tapes were therefore allowed to be more messy, repetitive and inconsistent than traditional albums. And Carti is trying to replicate this effect on music. There are no commercially planned hits with hooks fabricated for viral TikToks, apart from Rather Lie maybe, therefore we get 30 songs with an effortlessly placed track list and feature list. There's no complex concept, it's just music, like the title promises, giving off the feeling of the mixtape era's off-the-cuff releases and serving the hustler strategy of quantity over perfection. So if you feel like I Am Music sounds raw and incomplete, then I agree with you. But in my opinion, this is an intentional leitmotif for the album instead of a flaw. I Am Music deliberately sends the listeners back to the peak of the mixtape era, to a time before streaming services and curated playlists became the norm, and when people still were buying albums. That's why I Am Music also saw a big physical release with CDs and vinyl. And Playboi Carti's fashion choices during and after the album rollout also are reminiscent of that era, with fitted caps, fur coats, hood by air long sleeves, basketball jerseys, baggy pants, Timberland boots, bandanas and durags all being elements of his outfits. Moving on, the mixtape spirit on music is further enhanced by unconventional song structures and over-the-top ad-libs, like by Kendrick on Mojo Jojo for example. And yet another proof for Carti's revival of the mixtape spirit is visible on the song Crank, which samples Fuck Taylor Gang by Space Ghost Perp from his classic mixtape Blackline Radio 66.6. Here we can see that Carti is showing love to mixtape culture beyond Atlanta, specifically to internet-era underground mixtape rap from Miami, further embracing their DIY anti-industry ethos. And another proof for this is visible on the more upbeat, boastful and charismatic songs like 2024, Backdoor, Mannion and South Atlanta Baby, which sound more Dipset and Max B influenced due to being classic bravado rap. And Carti even linked up with Jim Jones after the album's release, who is a member of the Diplomats. Therefore, I Am Music isn't purely an Atlanta trap tribute, but rather a mixtape era collage where Atlanta, Harlem, New Orleans and internet era rap coexist. Still, many of the songs on I Am Music sound raw and unfinished, which in my opinion is an intentional production decision, because it reminds you of a classic mixtape from the 2000s that was quickly uploaded to DatPiff, and all of the ad-libs and sound effects by DJ Swamp Izzo are also strongly reminiscent of the DJs who hosted and distributed all the mixtapes back then. Think DJ Drama, Evil Empire, and Trapaholics amongst others.
Real trap shit.
And Carti putting Swamp Izzo on this project definitely wasn't a random choice, since Izzo actually is a very well-respected DJ from Atlanta who previously worked with Future, Gucci Mane, T.I., Young Scooter and Young Thug. Therefore, hearing Izzo's voice on I Am Music actually adds credibility to the record's leitmotif. And interestingly enough, Swamp Izzo even was connected to rap legend Lil Wayne to the Rich Gang movement, which is a perfect transition to my third and last argument. I Am Music is a declaration of love to one of the greatest mixtape artists of all time, Lil Wayne. The most obvious proof for this lies in the album's name, because Lil Wayne actually has an I Am Music tattoo on his face, and in 2023 Lil Wayne released his greatest hits compilation that was also titled I Am Music. So with this logic in mind, it makes more sense to view Carti's I Am Music as a compilation and love letter to Lil Wayne in Atlanta Trap than an actual studio album. In addition, we have an unofficial I Am Music cover, which clearly pays homage to the Dedication mixtape series by Lil Wayne. And Music's deluxe version is titled Sorry for the Wait, which is reminiscent of Weezy's mixtape series of the same name. Next to that, it is important to understand that Wayne's mixtape era was all about flooding the streets and embracing the maxims quantity equals dominance, as well as momentum over perfection. And I believe that Carti aims to recreate exactly that with his album and his label. Like Swamp Izzo told Complex in an interview, Carti and him literally were in the studio finishing and remaking the songs from I Am Music the night it was supposed to drop. The album was done around midnight and included 25 songs, but Carti then changed his mind and said, let's go back in. So that's how we got the 30 songs in the random track list that came out in the morning instead of at midnight. Carti literally was locked in until the last minute, which I bet Wayne did as well for some of his releases. Further proof for the Lil Wayne homage is visible on the track Like Weezy, which is literally named after him. And Weezy also did some ad-libs on the track Radar. Moving on, we can also recognize many similarities between the artists Playboi Carti and Lil Wayne. Both artists went viral when they were really young, and both artists presented themselves as real rock stars after reaching mainstream success. Carti achieved this with Whole Lotta Red and Weezy with Rebirth. In addition, Weezy built his enterprise with Young Money, and Carti is doing the same with the Opium/Young Vamp Life labels, which nowadays are dominating the rap industry just like Wayne and his peers once did. With all of this in mind, it is fair to say that Carti is honoring Lil Wayne's blueprint and giving him his flowers for his undeniable global influence on rap music of the 21st century. Already in a 2019 interview, Carti claimed in order to stay sane, he'd watched Lil Wayne documentaries at home to figure out how Weezy navigated the industry. So Wayne for sure was like a music and marketing mentor for Carti. You really had to be there, but Lil Wayne was the most popular rapper alive during a long time, and Carti for sure is trying to replicate this now. And with Lil Wayne's own son Lil Novi, who makes music himself, to say that Carti now is the new Lil Wayne talent-wise, that's a real full circle moment. So as a conclusion, I Am Music is a declaration of love to Atlanta Trap, Lil Wayne and the hip hop mixtape era. And on music, Carti manages to unify the three influences into one singular statement. Atlanta gave him the sound for I Am Music, Lil Wayne gave him the mindset, and the mixtape culture gave him the blueprint for the album's composition. So I hope that I was able to deconstruct the meaning behind I Am Music. Calling this project lazy, unfinished and boring like 99% of the critiques do is way too superficial and nescient in my opinion. Therefore I had to give my 2 cents on this topic. But let me know your opinions on music in the comments below. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video till the end. Leave a like if you enjoyed it and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can hit 2000 subscribers before the end of the year. Cheers!